Good morning. Today is August 11th. This is the monthly meeting of the Council on Aging Board with the Director of the Senior Center Department, the Council on Aging Department, Holly Lucht. As a preliminary matter, my name is Shashi Menon, Chairman of the Council on Aging Board. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Louise Russell?
Here.
Betsy Zwick?
Here.
Virginia Leonard? Virginia, are you muted? I can't hear your response.
She's on mute.
Okay, unmuted.
Jane Campagnolo? I guess she's not here. And Judy Goodstein?
Yes.
All right, good. Good morning. I'm going to read from the prepared statement. This opening meeting of the Council on Aging Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Senate Bill 2475, signed into law by Governor Baker on June 16, 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, the JLC 30A, Section 18. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the committee is convening by Google Meet, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please be sure to press *6 to mute your device. The meeting will feature public comment. Please wait until I open the item for your public comment and press *6 to unmute your device. All right, moving right along, we have the first item. Before I begin, let me just take a look at the agenda for this meeting. The first item on this meeting is to accept the minutes of the June 2021 meeting minutes. With the minutes from the April meeting are still open. We're waiting for a response from Holly. Certain documents or statements that you were going to publish or regarding that minutes meeting with Kevin. That can stay open now in the interest of time. Now for the June 2021 meeting, does anybody, Holly has a question.
Yes, so I just want to remind people, in case you didn't see the email that came out prior to this meeting, that the social media communication was not able to record. So if you are not speaking, please put your video on mute, because when I record, it shows the people at home that like certain pictures, and it gets really confusing. So we'll just have to give another like a couple extra seconds when people are going to talk. That would be the easiest. So yes. So unfortunately with just Shashi, I just want to touch on that. Unfortunately with Christine out right now and with orientating the new outreach coordinator and just the every day, I have not had a chance to revise any minutes at this time, but it is on my to-do list. Shashi, you're muted.
Yeah, I realize that. I have my hand on the mouse and I forgot to click it. Regarding the minutes of the June 2021 meeting, does anyone have any comments? In that case, will someone please propose that before I get go a little bit further, I forgot one item, important item. We do not yet have a recording secretary, so do I have any volunteers to take notes? If not, I'm going to appoint somebody. I think Louise and Betsy are the best because they've been here the longest and they've worked together before. So can you take that job? Can you undertake that responsibility to log the notes between the two of you and generate generate the minutes? Louise?
I'm not really a note taker, Shashi.
No, between the two of you, if you can write something.
I think because it's being recorded by Holly, I don't think that we really need to. Will someone have the opportunity to go through it and write the minutes?
Betsy, could you do that?
I'll do my best.
Okay, good. We can move along.
I'll try, Betsy, to take
Well-
some points and help you.
I mean, I picked the two of you on purpose because I knew you have worked together in the school district before. Anyway, does someone want to propose that the minutes of the meeting be accepted? I think you have to unmute.
I move to accept the minutes of the June 2021 minutes.
Any seconders? Anyone to second it? Boy, we're having a
Second.
good. I'm going to do a roll call vote. Judy Goodstein, I hope you've had a chance to look at the minutes, and I presume it's okay with you.
Excuse me. I looked at the minutes.
All right.
I'm wondering whether I should abstain since I can't really say whether the minutes are accurate or not accurate because I wasn't at the meeting. If you
At
don't
least
need
you
my
know
vote,
there are
I'll
no
abstain.
typos. That's a good point. Louise,
Yes,
Betsy,
Yes.
Virginia.
Yes.
The minutes are accepted. The next item on the agenda is to review and act on financial reports. And from what I understand, that Holly's is too snowed under with work to be able to generate those financial reports without Christine. So please take the floor, Holly.
Yes, so what I learned when I went to go put the financials together is that fiscal year 21 hasn't been entirely closed out yet by the other departments in town. So that would have required me to take the fiscal year 22 to add, subtract, and with the absence of Christine right now and the oncoming of our new outreach coordinator and everything else, I honestly just haven't had that opportunity. I can tell you that most of the financial things that have been purchased are really just things to enhance the programs and activities, in which I'll get into it in further detail in just a little bit. Shashi, you're on mute.
I said eventually these reports will be made available, at which time some of us may have some comments. But moving along, Holly, you can take over from here as far as the gift fund report, the formula grant. But since you don't have the budget, does that really make sense to talk about those two items?
So I don't have the numbers to speak of, but in a few minutes, I'll have a little bit more to talk about the programs. I think at this time, it would be a good time to introduce Judy Goodstein. Or is it Goodstein or Goodstein?
It's Goodstein.
Goodstein. So Judy, if you want to just take a minute or two to introduce yourself to the rest of the board and everybody at home watching, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go on from there.
Okay. Hi, I'm Judy Goodstein. Sorry to meet you on a video screen. I was hoping to meet you in person. Let's see. I'm a retired attorney. I've lived in Shrewsbury for 5 years now. This is short and sweet. That's it. Looking forward to working with you. Wherever I can fill in and help, I'm willing and able.
Judy, I have a question. I didn't know you were an attorney. What is your field?
Insurance law, actually. Personal
No.
injury defense, not, I did a lot of defense doctors and then malpractice cases and such. Some municipal defense, actually, in liability cases, but, nothing that would be all that pertinent.
I was hoping that you would have something to do with seniors and senior.
No elder law.
Oh, well.
Sorry.
Well, moving along, I think Jean is not here, so she'll have to wait till next time. Go ahead, Holly.
Okay, sure. So the next item on our agenda for item 4B is to meet the new outreach coordinator, Renee D'Argento. Renee, we don't see your video at this moment. Can you put your video back on, please? And remember that you are muted.
Well, that's strange because my video doesn't, I see myself on the screen and there's no X through my video. So I don't know.
I can
what's
see
going
you.
on.
And other people can see
I
you
can
too.
see her.
I can see you, Renee.
I can see her, Holly.
Okay.
Everybody right now besides myself is all a letter. So I just want to put that out there. So I apologize to people at home. So Renee, if you want to just take the floor, and everybody else, just remember to mute, please.
Okay. So, yes, my name is Renee D'Argento, and so I live in Pepperell. And my background is I've been working in human services for the last 6 years. Prior to this, I was with Bay Path Elder Services, which is an aging services access point covering 14 towns in the Metro West. I was also under contract at the HESCO ASAP for another 12 towns for program coordination, conducting evidence-based programs out in the community, such as chronic disease and diabetes self-management, matter of balance, savvy caregiver for caregivers of persons with dementia. I ran the program. I recruited and trained volunteers, and I also taught the program myself. Prior to that, I was with RCAP Solutions, and I was a resident services coordinator in 3 HUD subsidized apartment communities, 2 senior communities, and 1 for individuals with disabilities, young persons and families. And there, it was very much like an outreach coordinator job, helping people with services and supports to keep them living independent at home. I also brought in programs and things like that. And I see a familiar face here, Virginia Leonard.
Yes,
I was
yes.
looking, where am I placing you?
When I was at Neshoba Valley Medical Center, I
Yep.
did the community outreach,
That's
and I
right.
was about to say yes.
You were
Hello
the
and
marketing
welcome.
person. Thank you.
Yeah,
And we had you in. You were talking about the different doctors, healthcare professionals that you were trying to make the residents aware. And we had a nutrition program, Cooking for One. You connected me with a nutrition person there at the hospital, and that was really great. So nice to see you again.
right. And those would be great ideas, especially having you here with all that background, just to possibly offer the same things in our community, because those were well received and lots of fun.
Definitely. Are you still there at Neshoba Hospital?
No, actually, I'm at Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Great. And thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions or of me? I'm really happy to be here and jumped right in, very busy. And when we get to that point, I can tell you a little bit more about my week.
Holly?
Yep. So, thank you, Renee. So as Renee mentioned, she started here on August 2nd, and she definitely did jump in with 2 feet, for sure. So one of the things that she's working on right now is making the connections with the outside organizations that we work with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, ESWA, SYFS, the library, St. Anne's Food Pantry, and the Shrewsbury housing community. So I can tell you that starting in September, she's already booked a time slot to be over at the Shrewsbury Public Library to meet and do outreach over there. So that will be fantastic. So as we've mentioned, in months prior, that was primarily our goal, is to have our outreach coordinator really be, outside in the community. And so far, Renee is doing an excellent job, connecting and making those relationships happen. So I'm looking forward to that. And just another little tidbit, and I know Renee has a lot of her on her plate right now, but Betsy, thank you for giving us a couple of months ago that the relationship between Quincy. So we have an intern from Quincy starting in September that will be here on Mondays and Wednesdays, and that person will be working with Renee, and the three of us will kind of brainstorm, get together to figure out where that intern will be best suited. We're assuming at one of the housing authorities, maybe floating back and forth. So we just need to connect with the housing authority to make sure that all works well. And I'm hoping that can be an ongoing effort even after this intern gets all of his requirements. So Betsy, again, thank you for that. That's going to be super helpful.
And could I just add something, because we know we have October coming up, which is the time when individuals start looking at their insurances, and maybe individuals who are turning 65 need to start considering Medicare. But I'm in the process of becoming a SHINE coordinator, counselor. I really am excited about that, because I'm learning a lot that I didn't even understand about Medicare myself. So if I'm all set, that's certainly an important time to be working with everybody, especially Renee and anybody else in the community that needs to know about this. But especially if you're reaching out to the community, as people turn 65, they really need to understand what Medicare is and what they need to do. So this might be a good opportunity with all these different people here that have an understanding about insurance and educating our community. So this is going to be exciting. Good time.
Excuse me, Holly, I think Betsy had a question for you. No, you changed your mind. All right, go ahead.
So Virginia, that really excites me. And in a few moments, I'll be talking about some of my goals. So you may be just, in fact, what I need to fit in to make my goals, attainable. So that would be perfect. So if nobody has any other outreach, questions or anything like that, I'd like to keep going with the director's report, if I may, Shashi.
Yes, please do.
The next one is the grief and loss support group update. So last month I met with our psychologists that provide our grief and loss support over at the senior center. And yesterday, Renee had the opportunity to also meet with them. And what we have discovered is that the psychologists that offer this program through the senior center, they would like to move on going in a different direction. And the different direction is that, they're highly qualified individuals that would like to start being compensated for the time that they put in at the senior center. They did speak with me that years prior, they weren't exactly pleased with the way things were being handled. And, now they were kind of coming in with a fresh chalkboard, if you will, that they would like to do things a little differently. So one of the things that they would like to do is they would like to offer a structured grief and loss support group. And that would be with a minimum of 10 people that join, and it would be over an 8-week period, and it would be run by one of the two psychologists. Then there is another support group, which is an open support group with the same amount of people, same kind of circumstance, 8 weeks or so. That one we still need to kind of solidify the extra details. But so let's just concentrate on the first one that I mentioned with the structured program. So as I said, it would be 8 weeks. It would be run by the two psychologists. it would be an annual fee of $5,400. Yes, right, $5,400. And they would. So what I've requested from them is to come back with a quote proposal of exactly the times, the dates, with all of the incidentals for us to review and look at. So obviously, if we were going to fund this, it would come primarily out of our gift fund. However, because it is such an important program, and with the investigating, if you will, that I've done over the past month, there are fees associated with this type of service, whether it's in senior centers or private or anything like that. So it's my thought that we could cut this price in half and have the participants pay a fee for the groups that they attend, and perhaps the COA can find the costs out of our gift fund while supplies last, to go forward. Just because with COVID and the loss that so many people have endured, I feel as though that this activity, this program, is super important to our community. And in my words that I'll speak of in a little bit, I'm pulling back on offering other activities and programs and services at this time, just because with everything that's happening in the news, what I would rather do is take the programs and the things that are already existing and make them flourish a little bit more. And what I would hate to see is our grief and loss support program disappear because of funds. So I guess now I need the board to have a discussion on how each of you, with what was just presented to you, how each of you see that, and what your thoughts are about us moving forward with that. So Shashi, I don't know if you can do one by one, maybe starting with yourself with the information that I just gave.
As some of you already know, I deliver Meals on Wheels. And ever so often, I will go to a house and somebody will say to me, "Oh, we don't need the meal today. Mom just died last night." I don't know what to say or what to do, but it would be good if I could tell them, "Oh, yeah, we have these support services available." Is that something we could do? I mean, do you have a brochure or something that you can hand out?
So I think that all is what will eventually happen with this new structured program, because just to give shed a little light on what was happening before, is the doors were just open. Anybody could walk in, whether they were in the first stages of grief or the last stage of grief. And I received many phone calls in the past couple of months of people that were frustrated because they didn't get to speak because there was too many people, or there was friendships already formed. And so this is why the people teaching the program, or starting the program, and myself, and now Renee, feel it's so necessary to divide those groups of people so people all have the opportunity to speak. So once we get that established, we will definitely have the material that we can give off to people. Absolutely. But my question is, how does everybody feel about now, people wanting this is a service that we're being requested to pay for?
Holly, I have one more question.
Okay.
Are we coordinating this with the grief counseling that the religious institutions are maybe doing?
So at this time, we're not entwined in any religious institutions. This is just the same. This is the same grief and support group that has been at the senior center now for years, but they're finding that they're not as productive as that they want to be. They're not, they feel as though that they can offer a better opportunity for people to come in. I see you.
So I have a question. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm just curious, because grief and loss is something that is sometimes covered by insurance, especially if these are psychologists. Is there an opportunity to, of course, again, I'm not too sure how, I don't know if they want to be involved in getting insurance, because certainly, I'm sure there are some people that feel it's fine to pay for something, but like, how much are you going to pay if you have 10 people? That means that they'd have to pay at least $200 a piece to cover the cost. So do you think that they'll want to pay $200 for a program? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. That's about how much they'd have to pay. That's actually more than $200 to cover the other $2,700.
Yep. So that is one of my concerns also, is that I do know that some insurances do pay that. So somebody is not on mute. So there are the two opportunities that the psychologists were talking about: the structure group for the newly grieved family, or the open group for the people that keep coming back. My guess is the open group, they haven't given us a total on that one yet. My guess, and again, just my guess, is that it's going to be less expensive than the structure group. Because they form those bonds that would come into the senior center each week and maybe go out and take them however they want to expand those. But I just want to, Shashi, I would like to hear what Renee has to say on this particular.
I know. I was waiting for you to finish. Yeah, go ahead, Renee.
If I could clarify, because I met with the two psychologists yesterday. So the amount of money that we're being quoted for the year is to cover two programs, one in the fall and one in the spring. So basically, Virginia, what you were saying, the person that would be cut in half, because they would go through that one period in that one series of sessions. And then if they wanted to sign up for more, of course, then they could sign up to start again. But it's going to be seen as, because it's a structured program, all the people will be moving through their grief and loss situation together from the beginning to the end through all of the stages. So it will be a complete program. Now, the open program was basically, and also that structured program is for bereavement of a person. The open program was open to people for, it's not just grief of loss of a person, but for all the cumulative losses that people have in life that cascade and set the stage for someone needing help. And so when we were talking about it yesterday, we were discussing that, again, because it's an open group and people still might be in different stages, that might also have some structured activities to it, to help with a little bit more structured facilitation of that class. And the other thing we were talking about, and I've been approached by a couple of people for ideas about a pet grief and loss group. 1 in 3 people has a pet. And, when that pet is part of your family and that pet dies, it's can be devastating to a person. And potentially being in an open group, people like that may not understand, and that person may not get the help they need because they're not getting the empathy. So that's another potential discussion point at some point. And that could be something that I could facilitate. I wouldn't feel I'd have the expertise, to facilitate the others as much, but, working with a personal bereavement of a person. But being a pet owner myself and all of that, that potentially is something that I could do.
Renee, I have a question.
Sure.
Actually, it's a question for both Holly and Renee together. Before we sign on the dotted line, we have to establish what our senior community's needs are and whether these people that you're going to sign up with, whether they actually meet our needs. Do we any kind of evaluation about?
So, Sashi, I think I can partially answer that question. I'm not aware that we've made an assessment. I'm sure that the two psychologists have made the assessment, having worked with, the groups for a long time in the grief and loss. But I can say that now I lost my train of thought. Tell me again your question. The assessment and what was the other thing?
Trying to determine what the needs of
Okay,
our
I've got
senior
that.
community are.
Okay, so we want to develop a set of criteria, and I would do the screening for the sessions. Now, the open session, people would just walk in, but for the structured session, we would need some criteria. I would do the screening and then refer them to the program.
Does anyone have any other questions?
I do.
Judy, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I would want to know how much it would cost the participants if that's already been determined. And I'm a little uncomfortable with participants having to pay, frankly. I think that grief loss is really vitally important. And you're talking about people who might be on a fixed income. I would hate to see someone not join a group because of financial reasons. Perhaps there can be people can be allowed if they have financial need, if they need financial aid, whatever, however you want to put it. Perhaps people, maybe it can be a sliding scale or something. I would hate to see anybody not be able to join a grief group for financial reasons. And then someone asked the question of whether the psychologist can bill it through insurance. Well, they'd have to call it group counseling, I would assume, or something. They'd have to bill for actual counseling. And I read their proposal, and they specifically say that they are not performing actual psychological counseling services. So the answer to that is no. I mean, unless they want to change that, as the proposal stands, it would not be billable to insurance. Yeah, that's it. Oh, and I'm not sure I'm understanding about the open group. Would that still be like rolling admission? Because the person who sustains a loss, if, it's a 10-week class or 12, I can't remember, but if it's a 10-week class and they're in week 2 and they can't join, they shouldn't have to wait, 6 months for another grief counseling session to start. So would the open group still be, rolling admission where they can join at any time?
The open group is just drop-in. It's not necessarily an admission, so.
Holly?
Judy, thank you. So after reading the proposals that they sent us, we are not in the situation where we have enough funds that are coming in to support a program that charges $5,400 a year. And I agree, I'm not comfortable always. So we don't always have to have everything for free at the senior center, but I don't always want to have to charge a lot, because this should be an open place, a comfortable place for people to come. So while I was looking at the proposal, my thought is to wait to see what the proposal is for the open group as far as expense. And if we're not able to provide the structured group where it meets 2 times a year for $5,400, perhaps we can find a way to at least have the open group. Because at the end of the day, we want to be there for our community and still provide that support, but we can only be expected to carry so much. And with the tough times ahead, and everybody is really just strapped for personal reasons, financial reasons, and things like that. What I would ask the board is, if we table this particular proposal, and I can reach out to the 2 psychologists and ask them to send us a proposal for the open structured meeting going forward, to see what the funds that are required for there. And then we meet again in September to discuss those on how we want to move forward. I don't feel as though we've been given that we have enough time to really let this all soak in, and it's just too quick to move at this time.
Holly, is there any way we can get a sense of what the senior community wants?
Well, I can certainly look at the data that the My Senior Center provides as far as how many people and how many duplicated people or unduplicated people have been attending the grief and loss support group. I definitely feel as though there is a need for us to provide this service. To what extent that we're capable is a whole nother ball and wax.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, where do we stand? What are you going to do next, Holly? You're going to. So
what I request from the board, since there's just so much uncertainty and a little confusion, is that I think we need some time to do a little bit more digging, a little bit more understanding from the program directors as they're coming with us for information, and to find that other piece of it. We really need to know what that open structure group is going to be like, what it entails, how much is it going to cost, and then go forward. Now, keep in mind that very well might mean that they say that they're not going to be here after September. So what I will do is I will form that relationship and try to get that information as quickly as possible and get it out to the board. So in September when we meet, or even if we have to have another meeting prior to that, we have a little bit more information, because right now we have the two different programs that are completely different. And we have to figure out which one is the best one for the COA/Senior Center to offer. Renee, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, those are exactly my thoughts. We need to, get more information, from the psychologists who are running the program, and, clarification on what, what they'd be offering in each of the programs, especially since, if I'm going to be screening people for the structured program, bereavement program, and compare that to the open one, and how how we might be structuring that and the cost of that. So
Holly, if I understand you correctly, first of all, Betsy, are you clear on this now as to what's been going on here?
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that Holly's asking for a motion to request info. I'm looking at my notes and they may be incorrect and you can let me know. But I'm hearing that Holly's asking for a motion to request information on the open group proposal from the psychologists. And then that would be discussed at a future meeting, or to be discussed at a future meeting.
Do we really need to take a vote on that? I mean, you're going to just request information. I do not believe that we need, when you collect the additional information, we will certainly add it as an agenda item at an appropriate time. I don't think.
Well, I just want to make it so this is my thoughts, and I just want to see if the board has the same thoughts, because the information has been really quick as far as turnaround, and it's been hard to kind of, what we need is in a formal proposal is what we need. Exactly what they're going to give, exactly what is expected from us, the dates, the times, and things like that, because we could do this forever in circles, but what I need from them is more direct information with, information that is just like, okay, this is the date, this is the time, this is how much, this is when they're going to offer it, and go from there.
Yes, I think that's an excellent idea. I don't think that anybody in the board would object to it, unless anybody else wants to speak up. No?
Okay. Well, let's move on. So we're on director's report D, Memory Cafe budget request. So Renee and I had the pleasure to sit with Mary Gerber last week and kind of go over what's been going on with the Memory Cafe. She is showing a decline in people in showing up, and that might have something to do with the summer. The weather, COVID, people maybe being, move to assisted living or nursing homes. We're not really sure. However, this is one of the things that I wanted to talk to the board about. So because of COVID and the uncertainty of where we're going forward, what I would like to do is to take the present activities, programs, and classes and enhance them any way that we can see. So Mary came in and we sat here and I explained to her, I can order some of the snacks and the drinks that she needs for each time that they visit. So I can order that through WB Mason so she doesn't have to worry about being reimbursed for her money on a timely basis. So she wanted to know, until COVID does something different, so the $2,000 that was previously voted for Memory Cafe, can that be back increased to the $4,000 for the new fiscal year to have the music that we can have right now? Because right now there's no restraints on that. The only restraints that we have at the senior center right now is that staff and working volunteers must be masked. Anybody visiting the center, it is not required, it is advised. So until that changes, if it changes, she would like to see her her annual amount increase from $2,000 to $4,000. And I told her I would bring that to the board today to see if you would vote on that or how you would like to proceed with that.
Holly, can you just for a minute there quickly fill Judy in on who Marie Gerber is? I think she must be wondering who she is.
So Mary Gerber is our Memory Cafe program director. She's been doing it, as far as I know, for a couple of years. They meet twice a month at the senior center. They're here for about 2 hours. Sometimes in the very beginning, they were offering some of the congregant meals to the people that were attending. That would also be included with music and some sort of entertainment while they were here. So in the interim, while we were not at the senior center, she was buying supplies and delivering them herself to some of the attendees. And that would include either prepackaged snacks, plants, any kind of small activities for the families to be doing at home. Now that we've been open since the soft opening was in June, fully opened in July, now that they're back, she would like to kind of vamp up the opportunities that she has available. And Renee and I did get to meet with her last week, and we all talked, we brainstormed different ideas about having some pet therapy at the Memory Cafe, some, the garden therapy that we now have with our raised garden beds, and those kind of things, and even opportunities available at the center that would help in any of the dementia client that might show up that needs to have just like their hands busy at the time. But I feel as though until we have other direction from the town management or from Massachusetts, the government, from Charlie Baker, that I would ask the board to highly consider giving the Memory Cafe an increase so that she can plan the following year going forward to have the Memory Cafe continue as it once did.
Louise had a question.
I make a motion that we give or put aside $4,000 for the Memory Cafe so that they can continue the program that they started before the pandemic.
Before we do that, first of all, does anyone second that motion? I'm waiting for somebody.
Second.
Okay. I had a question. From what account would that $4,000 come?
As always, the gift account, that's where it's always come from. So even when we brought it down to the $2,000, it was from the gift account.
And you project that should be adequate? The gift fund is getting replenished or somehow or whatever?
Well, the gift fund still has approximately $42,000 in it. And as I've said, month after month, those donations came from the community, and are expected to be used for the community. So the money that sits there doesn't make money. It's just dollar for dollar, whatever we put in. So I absolutely think that we should use the money for these things and a couple other things that I'm planning on suggesting in just a little bit.
Go ahead, Louise.
4,000 was the original amount that we had given the Memory Cafe for the past, 2-3 years. Last year, we lowered it to 2,000 because of the pandemic, because they were not meeting at the senior center and having lunch. But now I think because we're back again, I think it needs to be brought back up to the $4,000 to give her leeway to do things that she feels fit, proper for the people that I've worked with her for a while in the very beginning, and it's very, very rewarding. If you have a free minute to come in and join in the group, it really is a wonderful opportunity. So I think it's the least we can do to help Mary continue working in the Memory Cafe.
All right, I think we are ready to take a roll call vote on that. Judy,
Yes.
Louise,
Yes,
Betsy,
Yes,
Virginia,
Yes.
motion is carried.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you, everybody. So Director's Report E. So Veterans Luncheon. So I've been working with Justin Souza and Mike Perna about trying to figure out how we can recognize our veterans. I feel as though that particular group has it has just not been seen to how I personally would like to have each group of the Shrewsbury community seen. So Justin and Mike and I met and thought about having a luncheon. At first, we thought about having it at the senior center. And then one of the things that I spoke with both town manager Kevin Mizikar and assistant town manager Kristen Lass about when I first began was that in order to get a lot of the community to see what we're doing and the efforts that we're doing, some of the programs and events and activities that we run, they don't all necessarily have to be at the senior center. Not everybody always wants to come to the senior center. So one of the things that we were thinking about was having the Veterans Luncheon outside of the senior center. So I did call the Scandinavian Club here in Shrewsbury, and the prices were a little bit outside of what we have available, to have that sort of event. So then I called around, and I also found one in West Boylston. It is the Manor, and their prices were a little bit easier for us to manage. However, I met with the Friends of group last week, and it was brought up in conversation that, what about something closer to town? So I did call the Italian Club. The name escapes me right off at the top. And I did reach out to Maria Smith, who is chair of the Friends Board, to see if she would be able to assist us in finding some, to find out the better details of what that particular venue would require from us. I have not been able to hear back from them. So I feel as though we have enough time to make this happen, that we can table this till September. But one of the thoughts is that we would have 50 veterans, invite 50 veterans, and that would fall on Justin Souza and Mike Perna's office. And with each veteran, they were allowed to have one guest. So, and that guest could be whomever they choose. And they would also put together the Veterans Agents Office would also put together whatever the entertainment was going to be for that particular luncheon, whether it was a speaker or a magician or a ventriloquist, whatever they want. We would support that. The original, I'm thinking that it could end up costing somewhere in the lines of about anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500 to have 100 guests. And I'm not even sure it matters at what venue. If it happened here, of course, the price would be a little bit lower. But again, I'm just looking to have some things that just aren't always at the senior center. But I was just looking to see what the thoughts were of the board of, everything that I just mentioned. What are your thoughts?
The only question I would have is there some way that you can include homebound veterans?
So again, that is more of Justin Sousa and Mike. I'm sure that they have the coordinations to reach out to those people that are at home. So I'm helping them with the party aspect of it, if you will, the luncheon aspect, and I'm leaving that particular expertise to them because there's only so much I want to put my hands into. So I think and they're the professionals on that.
Go ahead, Louise.
Is Justin going to pay for the entertainment?
So most of the things, if I'm not mistaken, are that they have available to them are usually given to them pro bono because of what they do. But I did tell them whatever they found, if there was a fee associated, to please come to us. And we'd look to help them out, knowing that they don't have the means to provide those kind of opportunities to the veterans. So they'll come up with a proposal to us also that we can look at.
I also had I had talked to Holly about this before. My feeling is that because we are the senior center, we are the Council on Aging, but I would like to see the luncheon in the senior center. And we're trying to get people to come there, and I can't think of a nicer way to feed them. And you've got to get people to come anyhow, and to get to know what's in here. And I think also we'll cut down the price as well if you have a caterer come in, or I said we've used other groups have used Assabet or some of the trade schools. They do a beautiful job in their meals, and they're very reasonable. But no, I just have a feeling that I would, instead of taking everybody out to lunch, invite them to our home and say, this is where seniors are, and we honor you as seniors. Because a lot of us, I'm married to a veteran of long standing, and I think a lot of us know people that are veterans as well. And would like to have a chance to welcome them to our home here.
So can I also ask a question? Do we ever work with other groups like Rotarians? Because a lot of the groups also look at doing something for Veterans Day. Maybe they might want to work with us. And I know when I was out at Neshoba, there was one Rotarian group used, and there are a couple other groups that used to actually help and support, even bring some of the food. They used to do a barbecue, and it was really a lot of fun just to get all that extra community effort. So I don't know. I mean, whether you want to, just keep this as something that the senior center does just by itself, or open it up to other groups to work to make this a more collaborative, more exciting, bigger event.
Holly?
So, yes, so that has, Justin and I did talk about that. Right now, it's been, as you can imagine, it's been super hard to try to get people on board at the same time because everybody's still trying to keep their head afloat. So one of my goals is anything that we put together, the COA department / senior center, anything that we put together, that if it's successful enough, even if it's just through us, is that the following year, if we invite people and they show what we have already done, that it would then make it bigger and better and just keep growing each and every year. So, this year, I was thinking about funds, and yes, we limit it to 50 veterans. We all know that there's more than 50 veterans out there, but funds available. So then if other groups and organizations, and this is where it's been super tough for me, joining in January 2020, that I haven't been able to make those collaborations just because everybody else is still, again, trying to do the same thing that we are, just trying to grasp at anything that we can. So just to be seen. So my biggest vision is that each year, anything that we do or everything that we do just grows and grows and grows because people see that the determination, our progress, our marketing, all of that. So I'm looking that this might be just the year that this is done between the Veterans Agency and the COA. And then next year we can come back and say, this is what happened. This is what we did. Here's some photos. Here's some, quotes from people that attended. Would you like to be part of that? And then we can make it bigger. So perhaps with Louise's suggestion, if we do start at home, then perhaps next year it grows a little bit bigger. So I am really open to anything. What I would like to see is the veterans recognized.
Louise, go ahead.
Have you talked to the Friends about sharing the cost with this, or are they donating any money to this?
So I did meet with the Friends last week. I believe that you were there. I kind of went over a few of the ideas that I had with the staff and things going forward. And again, one of the things that I don't want to do is exhaust my staff and the volunteers that we have with too many things on our plate just to pedal backwards 10 steps like we did last year. Which is why everything that's already existing, I just want to make sure that we give our, 110% devotion to that, and hope that the spring brings us something different. Originally, I wanted to do a hoedown. I'm looking at things available. I'm looking at masks required, and so I know that the Friends are working towards offering things for the Shrewsbury seniors. But there are certain, and anybody that's even watching this, if anybody wants to be part of this, of course, reach out to me and we'll figure out a way for us to work together. But it's really one day at a time at this, it's still. So that's where I am with this. So again, the Veterans Luncheon that I'm proposing would be on November 10th, which is the day before Veterans Day, because I know a lot of people attend services and have scheduled events that people go to annually. So I don't want to interrupt any of those. And Justin and Mike both agreed.
Any further comments or questions? If not, we can then move on. But Holly, what conclusion have we come to now? You're going to go forward with the 50 for now, and there's a function to be held at the senior center. Is that where we are at now?
So I think that is a request that can definitely happen for this year. And as Virginia mentioned, we can incorporate other people for next year and hopefully make it bigger. And then travel around the different areas, and maybe at one point we'll have other veterans from other towns being able to join us. So sure, I'm going to present it to Justin that for the first year we have it here, perhaps catered by, a catering company in Shrewsbury. And we can start here and then see where we go. And hopefully it's an annual event.
Betsy, go ahead.
So Holly, I just wanted to suggest that, excuse me, a lot of the local colleges have a hospitality management program. I know Quincy does. And the students in that program, as supervised by the program director and the faculty in the program, do catering. And I've been to some of the events that they've done, and they do a really fine job. It's incredibly reasonable because it's a learning experience for the students. So it's just a suggestion.
And now is one of them from Quincy?
Well, the program is at Quincy.
Okay.
It's the hospitality management program.
Okay.
Yeah. Pat Hutchinson would be the person who would be the contact. You could just shoot her an email, or I would be glad to do that and see what she's thinking.
Sure. So give me the opportunity to sit down with Justin and Mike tomorrow when they come in, because they're here on Thursdays. And then Betsy, I'll reach out to you from there. How's that?
Yeah. Oh, that's fine. Just a thought.
Sure.
Just for the record, Louise mentioned Assabet before, and I just want to point out we have used Assabet and they've done very well. We did Assabet. Louise, do you recall what function it was that they catered? Louise? She's searching for her mute button.
I'm sorry?
I said, do you remember what function it was that Assabet catered for us?
Oh, they've catered several luncheons at the senior center through the years. I mean, at least, the last 5, 6, 7 years we've had them for different kinds of things. I know the Friends have had them, and other organizations here at the senior center have had Assabet. I don't know about Worcester Voc either. I know they have a wonderful culinary program. I don't know if they cater or not, though.
Anyway, these are things.
And if I could just add something quickly, when I still worked in the Neshoba Valley Medical Center, there used to have something that they call the taste, big event that they used to have yearly. It was local, and Assabet participated, and they used to bring desserts and other things, and they were really fantastic. Those kids really come up with some really great ideas. So not to take away from any other place, but at least I can say I have tasted the products produced by that group of kids. So it was really good.
Okay, now we have several items left and we're only at 10:30. So unless we should move on, unless Holly has something. All right, go ahead. We're on to the next topic then.
Okay, perfect. So,
Staff goals?
so the FY22 goals. So everybody would have received a copy of the staff's goals. The only one that you haven't received yet is Renee, because of course she's going to, the timeline is for her to do the first 60 days, and then we'll work with her to get right into the performance goals, to have that evaluation for the next fiscal year. So you'll see that and that each one of us already has the goals. So instead of me going over each goal, and what I also did was for myself, I included a recent update that I sent over that I spoke with Kristen about. So I just want to take all of the goals, the sheets that I gave to you, and just offer an opportunity for anybody to ask a question about any particular goal, any particular employee, and perhaps I can shed light if anybody has any other suggestions. So we'll just open it up there, and then I'll go from there instead of opening a can of worms.
Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, we can move on. Go ahead, Holly.
Yep. So if there's no questions, what I'll just add is that my staff, the COA staff, has already started implementing their goals, and I'll be meeting with them starting in September. And one of the things that I'm super proud that we did as a department is before we even devised the goals, we all sat together to try to help each other figure out what our goals should be. Because at the end of the day, I don't think any one goal should be on one person because we're working together. So I will let you know that all of the goals, can only be completed if we work as a team, which, like I said, I'm super pleased with. The one thing that I do want to just touch upon really quick is I want to show everybody on my big list that I had that's marked 728. You'll notice that one of the things was to create 3 new strategic plan goals annually for the following year. And so you'll see them highlighted. So those are my goals that I'm planning to add into the strategic plan and to have those inside there before we get into the next fiscal year 23. So I just wanted to make sure that nobody had any questions on those highlighted goals that were particularly mine.
Anyone? Any questions? Guess not.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So moving on. So now I'm going to talk about the FY22 special grants activities. Just as I've mentioned a couple of times already today, what I want to do is enhance and help and improve the ones that are already existing. Some of that just might be as simple as offering snacks, as I already mentioned with Mary. One of the things that we have at the senior center, so the refrigerator that we were able to purchase through the MCOA grant that was originally going to be placed in the storage cabinet, in the storage room for our food sharing pantry. Since COVID lightened up a little bit, we took that refrigerator out, and now we have the complimentary cold waters. When people come in, they can come and grab one. We also have the popsicles that people can come in and they can grab those. So those will be offered through the rest of August. And then after August, it's most likely that we're going to put the refrigerator back in the food sharing pantry because we still have the water area, the bubbler. Even though you can't use the bubbler, you can still fill a water bottle there, and the water is nice and cold. And I am looking to even having a vending machine come in. And the vending machine would not cost the COA any money because they make money off the items that they sell. But before we have that come in, the company asked me to show them like 3 months of how many people are coming into the center because they want to make sure that they're going to get their money back for the items that they put into the vending machine and where they're having it at the senior center. And one of the reasons why I think that is important, and one of the things that we're finding a lot, especially in the humidity, is a lot of people come in that might be diabetic or have any other underlying illnesses or anything going on that we don't know about. So you'll notice when you walk in through the front of the senior center, there are lollipops for people that they can take just if they want that, because some people need that little extra bit. But we've also been offering people cookies, and people have been taking the cookies. So I just want to make sure that when people come in that we have the things provided for them that they need. So I just wanted to kind of keep you updated on that. And I hope that everybody has had an opportunity to check out our unbelievable raised garden beds in the front of the senior center. I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things when I drive in every day is to just see that beautiful set built by Anthony Biscotti, the Eagle Scout. And so many of our visitors have been able to take home, tomatoes and peppers and things like that. And Beth Murray, our nutrition manager, has done a great job and kind of given a little variety when people walk in. So it's been fantastic. And we've had a lot of, yep.
If I might add to that, it's also really great that you see our senior members participate in the gardening as well. So they're getting some activity and socializing at the same time. And that's another great benefit of that garden.
Yep, and I agree. So one of the things I plan to do is even purchase some whiskey barrels to have outside of the senior center, so we can have additional flowers for people to come and take in. Last week, just as Renee mentioned, we had a 92-year-old and she came with her own shears and she was, clipping our rose bushes outside of the senior center. And all she wanted was a few tomatoes in return. And of course, we told everybody, if you participate in keeping up our raised garden beds, you can absolutely reap the rewards that it grows. So that's been a huge asset, I believe, to the senior center. So I believe that's as far as, I did one more event. So last year we did the holiday gift bags, the gifts for seniors. So now that we're open, we certainly do not have the space available to provide that sort of event again. However, what we're planning on doing, or what I would like to do, is offer a gift and card, a blanket and gift card drive. So with every blanket, somebody would get a gift card in an increment of either $5 or $10. That's what I'm going to be requesting. And those donations will start in September and go until the first week of December. And those will go to the same people that we reached out to for our outreach last year. So the housing community, our Meals on Wheels, our Grab and Go, some of our van riders. And if we're able to offer to additional people, we even did a couple of deliveries from, family members that wanted to, send something to one of their loved ones that might have been at Southgate or Shrewsbury Nursing Home. And so nobody is going to be off limits. So again, that will be a blanket and gift card drive that will have people bring donations here. And of course, all blankets must be new. So you'll see that in the September newsletter. Moving on to Director's Report H, grants. So our nutrition I see Louise's hand.
Louise, you had a question?
I just had a quick question about the vending machine, Holly. What company is it?
So without having it in front of me, it's the same company that the rest of the town hall uses, the Parks and Recreation.
What do they have in it?
So the cookies, the crackers, the potato chips, the granola
Just
bars. Yeah.
Snacks.
Yeah.
I know we used to have a Coke vending machine, and
So
they took it out because it wasn't. So I didn't know if it was the same thing or not.
Nope. So this one, if we go ahead with this one, it will just be the snacks. I feel that as long as we have the water dispensing machine, that's at free of cost, I feel that that's adequate enough. And we do have some extra water bottles left from Commit to Be Fit. So if people needed those, but we have cups. So at least we already have the ability to offer those, the beverages.
And whatever
Renee has a
happened to
question.
the coffee machine?
The coffee machine is still inside room A. And we still have the coffee and the tea and things like that. So, and we use it every day.
Oh, I hadn't seen it. I don't know where it is.
It's inside room A over by Beth's office area. We just moved it down a little bit.
Okay, I'll have to look for it. Yeah, thank you.
Renee had a question?
Yes, I guess I hope I would see more in the way of healthy snacks in there. People have so much opportunity to kind of eat the wrong things, and the people that we serve have, a lot of them have multiple chronic diseases, diabetes being a major one. So water is good, and having a vending machine with healthy snacks would be really great.
Thank you, Renee. So moving on to Director's Report H, the grants, the nutrition program. So we still have, I believe, 5 microwaves left over if anybody is still looking for those. So what's great is we gave away 45 microwaves to Shrewsbury seniors. And the first ones went to the Meals on Wheels clients because what we found out, and this is repeating time, but some of our Meals on Wheels clients who were receiving their food didn't have a really good way to heat it up. So we were able to deliver those. Some of our transportation drivers were able to deliver those to their homes. Some of our home repair volunteers were able to get those plugged in for people. So it was a wide range of coordination, collaboration through many of our volunteers, which have been amazing. Our taxi livery grant. So the due date, the date has been extended from December 31st to March, so to the end of March. So what that means is with those extra yellow cab rides that we have been able to provide people outside of business hours, we can still do that through March. And we have also gotten permission with the fact that COVID is increasing and, van drivers' hours might be a little scarce because of vacations. We now have the ability to use that same grant during business hours. So when we can't meet the needs with our own vans and our drivers, we're still able to provide service free of charge. So I just wanted to let the board know of that. I think that is super spectacular. Our winter streets, I have been coordinating with the schools in town. It's been a little difficult on my end just because everybody's on vacation at different times and a little bit of cat and mouse on phones. But I have been able to go to quite a number of the schools and figure out where the benches will be placed that we received. So the way that will work is once I solidify those areas, the DPW, there's money set aside for overtime salaries from the grant that we received. So the DPW will construct the benches, and then the DPW will hire an outside organization to install the benches. So again, all of that money has already been set aside by our previous outreach coordinator, so those funds are available. I'm trying to get it done as quickly as possible before the school year, but again, these are just it's just been a little difficult, but at least we have the supplies, and I've already updated the grantee or the grantor, I should say, with updates, so they understand that we're still working towards that. Unfortunately, the grant that I really, really wanted through AARP, the Yahoo grant, was...
That's okay. I have to walk over the hospital.
That one.
Virginia, you're not on me.
Pardon?
That's okay. The AARP Yahoo grant, unfortunately, we were not granted that. However, you can, what did Annie say? You can bet your bottom dollar that I am going to submit for that again next year and hopefully get approved again. That is one that I feel that the Shrewsbury community definitely could use, but it wasn't through anything that our grant didn't read. So I just wanted to...
I got a question.
Yeah.
Why was it? Do we get any reason for that?
Nope. Nope. So when we got the update, they said that they apologized that there were many people that applied for the grant and that they just didn't have the ability to explain to people why they didn't get it. So I will be applying for it again next year. I might perhaps start at, maybe lower our amount requested. Maybe that had something to do with it, just because there were so many people that applied. But unfortunately, I don't have the answers to that.
All right.
So that is all I have for the director's report. And
There are 3 more items on the next page.
well,
2 more items.
Well, yes. So, but the director's report. But so the next one for 5 is the transportation fares and ridership. You'll see that Cynthia put together a paper with updates on what our transportation has looked like. And just wondered if anybody has a question on any of those.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Do you have any plans, because of this Delta variant,
Mhm.
are we going to restrict the number of passengers on a bus like we used to?
So anything that we move forward, we follow the advice of the WRTA.
So far, we haven't received any, I take it. So it's going to be full ridership that we've
Yes.
been doing.
Yep.
And it's up to the passengers themselves if they want to wear masks.
So one of the things, yes, no, so everybody has to, the van drivers and the riders they have to wear masks. The masks are mandatory on our transportation vehicles.
All right.
That has never changed. The only thing that changed was the amount of people. So it went from one to now that we can have a full busload. But we follow the guidelines that the WRTA puts out to us.
Louise?
I see that the COA vans aren't used a whole lot. Is that because we don't have drivers or we don't have the places for them to go? I don't understand excuse me, the difference between the two.
Sure. So, so there's a couple of things. So COVID, obviously, and from what the staff has told me, and if you look at the year in 2019, coming in the summer, many people, the transportation requests just are lower. And now with the next 3 days looking to be over 100 degrees, people may not want to leave their homes. So the rides just always go down. People might not be around. So there's various numbers of reasons why the transportation numbers could be down. Every now and then they go out, every now and then they don't. The other day we had 3 vans scheduled to go out, and then we had people call and cancel their rides. We don't ask people why they cancel their rides. We just document that the ride has been canceled. So there's no real way of knowing, except that, like I said, if we had a graph in front of us and we looked at the summers of like the last 3 years, you would notice the same decline in the requests that we get during summer months. And then it goes up in the fall, and then it goes down in the winter again.
I have to,
Wait, hang on, Virginia.
oh, I'm sorry. I have to apologize because I have to get off. I have someone signaling to me. So I just need to get off, and I will just follow up on whatever I'm missing from today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Virginia. Good to see you.
Good to see all of you.
A follow-up, please, Shashi.
Go ahead.
I just wondered why the COA vans are not used as much as the RTA vans are.
So with the contract of WRTA, we have to utilize the WRTA vans before we use the COA vans. Yeah. So, which is good because our COA vans are maintained through our revolving account. And right now, without any fares coming in, that revolving account has just kind of sat idle. And there's no way of knowing what's going to happen in the future if the WRTA, right now they're supposed to resume fares in January of 2022, but we have no way of knowing if that's going to happen. So one of the things that Cynthia is really working on too is trying to figure out how can we maintain the 2 town-owned vans that we have in case we never resume fares again. So it's a lot of work behind the scenes with the transportation, but that's to answer Louise's question. That's the main reason.
Okay. I had one more question, Shashi.
Go ahead.
Is the senior center going to be a cooling center the next couple of days?
So I'm glad you asked. So that was actually a question right before I got onto this meeting. So last year, because of COVID, we weren't able to open as a cooling center. So this morning, right before we got on, I actually requested from Pat Babin to call over to the town manager's office as well as the fire department to see exactly what the center is supposed to be used for. Because since I've been here, I haven't learned of that. That just was never operating in that manner. So to answer your question, to be truthful, I don't know. I know last year we recommended people going to various, I think there were a couple of restaurants or the library. We don't have anybody to staff the building, so I don't know the answer to that, but I'm trying to find the answer as quickly as possible. But I can certainly follow that up with an email to the board after we get off of this call.
Okay.
Go ahead, Renee.
Hi, I actually have a question, and it could be also for you, Sashi, or others here. So when there's a heat advisory like this in town, is there like a reverse 911 call to the people who have registered with the town who like to have information from the town saying there's a heat advisory and these are the places you can go if you need to go to a cooling center?
So Renee, that is something that you and I need to discuss in the triad meeting,
Okay.
with the rest of those department heads, because, those are things that we need to figure out, on a different group and then inform the COA of what we come up with. And unfortunately, that wasn't something that we discussed yesterday. So,
Yeah.
um,
So I only just thought of it now because of what we're talking about. And I didn't know if the town had that, did that before even does the reverse 911 calls like our town does if you want to sign up to get these code reds and different things like that.
Judy, go ahead.
Yeah, just to answer you, Renee, the town does do the reverse 911, like do it by text, email, phone call, because I'm subscribed to most of them, and we did not get one on the heat advisory.
and
I have a question for Renee and Holly. In order to declare ourselves to be a cooling center, I think the state may have some requirements like backup power and cooling and emergency services and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what they are. So can we, yes, I understand we can always turn on the air conditioning, but I think a cooling center is more than that. Does somebody know anything more about what?
So Shashi, as I just mentioned right before this meeting, I had a couple of the staff members put out a couple of phone calls on my behalf just because we were sitting here. So as soon as I have those answers, I will send the board I will BCC the board on the responses to those answers. While we're talking about the cooling center, one of the things that I did want to bring up to the board, I don't think it's too late for this summer already, but noticing how many people took the opportunity for the microwaves that we had available. And with the fact that, every summer we have these hot weeks and things like that, we know that people are living at home and they don't have that cooling opportunity available. With the gift fund that we have, what would the board think about purchasing air conditioners, first come, first serve, for our Shrewsbury seniors to have in their homes, knowing that we could have them assisted to be put in by our small home repair group, knowing that there are people at the towers, maybe on the 15th floor, that don't have air conditioning or anything like that. What would the board say if I said, let's purchase some air conditioners to give out to the Shrewsbury seniors under the same stipulation that we did with microwaves? So first starting with certain clientele and kind of going from there, and it's first come, first serve. And then if we see that, and I think that we will see that a lot of people are taking advantage of those, just similar, we could do something after, similar to what we did with Feed a Senior. So, we put out that notice for requests for people to make donations to help Feed a Senior. And in a week and a half, we had $1,700 donated to us, and we were able to offer free meals for 4 months to our Shrewsbury seniors. So I'm just wondering, what do people think about that?
Some observations. One is safety. That I don't know about the size of the air conditioners that are required, because they may not all be the same that are required. We need to investigate that. And
So Shashi,
like the towers, you got to work with their management, because you're putting it into the grid, and your power. I don't know what your capacity is and what the rules are and what your regulations are. You got to work with all these other I'm not sure we have time by the end of August. Go ahead. What was your question?
Yeah, no, so I just wanted to mention that, one of the assets that, well, many assets that we have here is Pat Babin being a retired police officer, and she does coordinate with the fire department and things. And she mentioned this morning that, there is a restriction to have air conditioners on a 5,000 BCU. That she knows about already, but I absolutely agree. So so my thought is, I know that there are different things that I have to figure out before we make purchases. I just wanted to know what the board thought about having
I mean,
that.
I would agree with it in principle. I think it's a good idea. Betsy? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Betsy.
I think it's a terrific idea, so I would support it.
Anyone else? No, I advertised on, I had an extra air conditioner that was left behind by the previous owner of the house. I advertised somewhere and it was gone in a day. I mean, just like that. Actually, it was somebody at the Francis Garden, which is also a senior housing authority facility, that immediately got it. But anyway.
So the board would be comfortable if I did a little bit more investigating and trying to figure out, like how much the air conditioners would be, what each, housing authority would require, and in that kind of aspect of it, and then comes back with a monetary figure.
Yes, that'd be good.
Okay. Very good.
I think we're done with the director's report.
Mhm.
The only new business that I need to talk about is we need a vice chairperson and we need a recording secretary. But Holly suggested, and she's right, that we should wait until we get one more board member that we're waiting for. And then besides that, I didn't want to just take a new person and stuff them into a position they may not want to do. So this will give you, the new members, some time to feel how the system works and how the town operates and so on. So see what they can do and whether they want to do it. So we'll postpone the election of the new staff members for a few months. That being said, does anyone have any other items that they wish to bring up? Holly, were you going to say something? In that case, I think we're 3 minutes past 11. And Louise, go ahead.
I move that we adjourn.
Of course. Anybody to second it?
I'll second it.
Excellent. Now, let me take a vote. I'm required to take a roll call vote on this. Judy?
Yes.
Louise?
Yes.
Betsy?
Yes.
The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Nice to see you, everyone.
Jackie and Molly, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I'll type up these minutes and I'll send them, to whom do I send them?
You can send them to me.
Okay. And remember, they will be from my perspective, so,
Just so you know, I took some minutes too, so I'll help you out with
we
that.
can compare. All right,
Yeah.
great. I'll send them I'll send them later today.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your August.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.